Defend the Netherlands? Or the normalization of exclusion? In recent times, the Netherlands has witnessed a striking rise of groups bearing names and logos such as Defend Den Helder, Defend Zeeland, Defend Arnhem, Defend IJmuiden, Defend Friesland, Defend the Netherlands, Defend Eindhoven, Defend Alkmaar, Defend Wieringen, and so on. They present themselves as protectors of city, region, or nation. In practice, however, their focus is almost exclusively directed against the arrival of asylum seekers and reception centers, AZCs. Their message is blunt and unnuanced: they must go, this is our country. What is rarely stated openly, yet painfully evident, is whom they include when they speak of us. These groups present themselves almost exclusively as white. Not by coincidence, not unconsciously, but structurally. Dark-skinned Dutch citizens, people born and raised here, who speak the same language, obey the same laws, and often have been part of this society for generations, are not regarded as equals. On the contrary, when they attempt to join such groups, they are refused, blocked, or simply excluded. This is no misunderstanding. This is discrimination. And it is sold under a supposedly legal and respectable guise: a logo, a flag, a Facebook page, the word defend, which evokes heroism. At the bottom of many of these logos, one even finds the word warriors. As if this were a war, while in reality it is about fear, loss of control, and the designation of scapegoats. What makes these movements particularly bitter is their moral hypocrisy. They claim to oppose the Islamic community fiercely, accusing it of misogyny, conservatism, and inequality. Yet anyone who looks closely at their own symbolism and organization sees almost exclusively men. Their visual language breathes a male world, tough, aggressive, closed. Women play no visible role, they have no voice, no face, just as in the systems these movements claim to resist. They do the very same thing, merely concealed. Not openly religious, but nationalist. Not with sacred texts, but with flags and slogans. Not through overt coercion, but through social exclusion. Meanwhile, they eagerly exploit social unrest, housing shortages, overstretched healthcare, failing policies. Problems created by the state are projected onto the weakest groups. Asylum seekers, migrants, the other, a classic strategy repeated throughout history. What these movements truly defend is neither city, nor region, nor country. They defend a narrow, exclusive image of the Netherlands, in which equality applies only if one has the right skin color, the right gender, and the right worldview. That is not protection. That is regression. A society that packages discrimination as resistance and exclusion as heroism is not a free society. It is a society that betrays its own foundational values while claiming to defend them. Historical and legal context: the Dutch we is not one color. The notion that the Dutch person is by definition white is historically untenable. The Netherlands has never been an ethnically homogeneous country. The territory we now call the Netherlands has been shaped for centuries by migration, trade, war, occupation, and intermingling. The first inhabitants of this land were not Dutch in any modern sense. They were tribes and peoples such as the Batavians, Frisians, Franks, and Saxons, groups that were themselves migrants, originating from other parts of Europe. Roman influence followed, along with Germanic mixtures, Scandinavian traces, and centuries of exchange with Southern and Eastern Europe. The so-called White Dutchman with blue or brown eyes is not a pure or original type, but the result of centuries of mixing. Genetic research shows that virtually no Dutch person has a pure profile. Eye color, skin color, and physical traits say nothing about nationality, loyalty, or citizenship. Moreover, the Netherlands has historically been an exporter of migrants. In the 17th century, Dutch people moved to other parts of Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas as traders, colonists, and administrators, rarely with the consent of local populations. It is morally bitter that descendants of this history now deny others the right to seek safety here or to participate in society. Legally, too, the idea of ethnic exclusion is indefensible. The Dutch constitutional state is founded on the Constitution, in which equal treatment is fundamental. Article 1 states unequivocally that discrimination on the basis of race, skin color, or origin is prohibited. When groups of people are systematically refused or excluded on the basis of appearance or ethnicity, this principle is directly violated. The use of terms such as defend and warriors further suggests a form of parapolitical organization, in which citizens grant themselves a mandate they do not legally possess. In a democratic constitutional state, the monopoly on force lies with the state, not with self-appointed protectors of the people. History teaches that such movements rarely remain confined to symbolism alone. International law is equally clear. The Netherlands is bound by treaties that protect against racial discrimination and recognize the right to asylum and human dignity. These treaties are legally binding. Those who claim to defend the Netherlands while ignoring fundamental legal principles are undermining the country itself. The greatest irony is this: many who present themselves as the true Dutch are themselves products of migration. Dutch citizenship is a legal and social construct, not a biological possession. Those who forget this confuse origin with ownership and identity with exclusion. That is where the danger begins. Defend Vishnu Society Manifesto. For equality, reason, and constitutional resistance. I preamble, why this manifesto exists. The Defend Vishnu Society does not arise from fear, but from necessity. Not as a reaction within the same primitive arena where exclusion, enemy images, and ethnic fantasies dominate, but as a radical break from that way of thinking itself. Where others speak of defense, struggle, and real Dutch people, we confront the core of the problem, the normalization of exclusion under a supposedly legal, patriotic, or cultural guise. This manifesto is a declaration of position, philosophical, legal, and social. 2. Our radicalism lies not in violence, but in fearlessness. We fear nothing except, as ancient wisdom ironically suggests, that the sky might fall on our heads. And even that we do not fear, for that sky exists only as a construct in the minds of distorted individuals who project their inner emptiness onto a supernatural power. A God that exists only in human minds, protects no one, intervenes nowhere, bears no responsibility, merely legitimizes fear. Therefore, the Vishnu Society stands principled as secular, rational, and nature-bound. Spirituality must never be used to justify exclusion, domination, or moral superiority. 3. What we recognize no higher authority than human dignity, no higher law than that of the democratic constitutional state. This position is explicitly anchored in Article 1 of the Dutch Constitution, equal treatment, Articles 7 and 9 of the Constitution, freedom of expression and assembly, Articles 10, 11, and 14 of the ECHR, expression, association, non-discrimination. The principle of a resilient democracy is recognized in European and national jurisprudence. Our existence and our speech are constitutionally protected. 4. What legal resistance within the rule of law means. Resistance within the rule of law is not weakness, but organized maturity. It means the right and the duty to publicly name abuses, actively exposing and dismantling discrimination, excluding ideologies, not people, when those ideologies conflict with equality, using language, publication, education, organization, and law as instruments of struggle, principled refusal to recognize race, skin color, gender, or origin as criteria for citizenship. The Netherlands is not a race. Not a tribe. Not a male fortress. It is a legal space in which equality is not a favor, but a right. The warriors without an enemy image. True warriors do not need enemies. Discipline means self-control over hysteria, clarity over rage, steadfastness when the crowd derails. The Vishnu Society excludes no people, but excludes hatred, fights no groups, but confronts ideas that reduce human beings to color, gender, or origin. When we speak of warriors, we do not mean what contemporary masses imagine. Not shouting crowds, not untrained bodies intoxicated by group frenzy. True warriors are not products of fear, but of discipline. They act from restraint, intellect, morality, and legal knowledge. The Vishnu Society knows warriors of word and deed. Word, because language can expose, clarify, and protect. Deed, because principles without consequence are empty. Where they shout, we speak. Where they threaten, we set boundaries. Where they follow, we stand. 6. Identity, Dutch citizens and earth dwellers. We are Dutch, not despite our diversity, but because of it. And beyond every national border, we are inhabitants of the earth, bound by nature, reason, and responsibility, not by myths that collapse under critical scrutiny. Those who believe fear can be the foundation of a society are mistaken. Those who believe an imaginary God will defend them stand alone. We do not. 7. Final Declaration. We stand, in the light of the law, with open eyes, without fear, and without illusions. This manifesto is not a call to violence. It is a declaration of moral, philosophical, and legal resilience. Whoever defends equality embodies the constitutional state. Whoever defends exclusion places themselves outside it. 8. Accessibility and inclusivity, an appeal to reason and heart. The Defend Vishnu Society is open to all who genuinely care for their fellow human beings. Those who act from responsibility, reason, and humanity will find a place with us. We exclude no one. We acknowledge that the Netherlands can be overcrowded, and that insecurity often stems from failing policy that favors those who have contributed nothing, while long-standing residents pay the price. That is injustice, and we resist it. We resist everything that undermines the rule of law, society, and the Dutch people, bureaucrats, ideologues, and naive well-wishers who often unknowingly harm those who live and work here. Our struggle is directed against destructive systems and ideologies, not against people. We are not a blind crowd. We are vigilant, clear-minded, and steadfast in action. We defend principles, not privileges. We defend rights, not fear. Those who believe equality, justice, and responsibility are empty words stand outside our endeavor. Those who truly place human and societal well-being first are welcome among us. The Defend Vishnu Society stands for a Netherlands that protects, connects, and acts justly in word and deed. That is our promise, unyielding and unmistakable. Thank you for listening.